All right, today I'm going over the Sidewinder 7.5. The main difference I did for the 7.5 is I changed the angle of the spring shelf here on the armature bar. And so you can see when I push down, it's at a 90-degree angle to the armature bar, to the top of the frame there. And this allows for a little easier lining off the tip and a more graceful hit. I've experimented changing these angles and doing all this stuff, and I just came back around to this way that I started with, and I just feel that it's just the right way. Now, next thing I did is the impact pin and impact screw here. I used to have a little screwdriver slot there that you'd adjust with, but it's kind of hard sometimes to find the right screwdriver for those. So now I basically machined a little hex into these deals instead, so you can adjust with your little Allen key that I send out with all the machines. This is a 1.5 millimeter Allen key, and it works for all little set screws and everything as well. So you also have the side locking screw for the impact pin is off at this angle. Being at this angle versus directly on the side stabilizes this impact screw more and just keeps everything more stable in there. So less of a chance of this thing wallering out over time if you run your machine really aggressively. So now let's just go over the basic setup. Basically, one of the most important things with these machines is making sure you open up your needle bar adequately if you're having trouble with spitting. You might not have any trouble with spitting, but if you do, it's because your needle bar loop is a little too tight. It used to be all the needle bar loops were right at 3/16 of an inch, and then they just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and some companies are pretty good about not, making them that small and staying true to the original intended size. So I made this little crown here on the thumb screw, and that is to put your needle bar loop on and rotate it around and open that up to the right size. And the reason why you open it up to that size is that it allows for free movement of the needle bar. And if you don't have that free movement, when that armature bar is whipping up and down, it's going to cause the needle bar to flail around and not stay put, and the rubber band can't hold it back. And then maybe you have to compensate by excessive rubber band tension, which isn't good either. So I'm going to do that. I had a nice little healthy bend that I put on that needle bar also, and you'll notice when I put the rubber band on here that is just a slight bow, but it's still bowed like so, and that allows for the tips of the needle to lick the tip of the tube. And when it's licking that tip of the tube like that, you're going to have less likely of a chance of ink getting siphoned up and creeping all the way up here and getting cooties all over everything. So that's basic setup. And now the thing with that makes the V7 is a spring adjustment knob. You can adjust the stroke and stuff here, but it's kind of like if you're a geek and you really want to dive deep into dialing this machine in exactly how you want, if you don't like how I set them up, then you have some flexibility here to really make this machine exactly what you want. But I find that where this machine shines is that you have a wide voltage range to where you can use it for shading or stippling and have a more predictable hit at lower volts, and then being able to turn it up really high and use it as a fast liner or a power liner or what have you. So let's see. I'm going to go hook this thing up. Here I'm at 6 volts and default setting. And I could run like a 9 maybe right there, like how I like to lie, and I like to go kind of fast. At 6 volts, I might run my 9s. If I want to get a little bit more power and run a bigger needle, I might back off that spring tension a little bit more, and you hear it, how much harder it starts to hit, or how soft it is when I increase the spring tension there. Now at 4.5 volts, it's stammering right there, okay? And that's because at below 5 volts, you need less spring tension. So I just back that off a little bit, and you have a nice poppy little hit. It's still gentle, you know, but a nice hit for, say, stippling or whatnot. I can go a little bit more. Here I am at 4 volts. Now, if you get to 4 volts and it's still, you need a little bit more punch, you can always lift up on the rubber band a little bit more. And that's definitely going to give you that added thump that you're looking for. Okay, now over time, your impact screw may settle in. I do everything in my power to make that something that's not a frequent adjustment if you ever have to adjust it at all. But if you run your machines pretty hard on a daily basis, it's inevitable that, you know, some stuff like the spring might, you know, flex a little bit or something settles down. So you're gonna need to turn in your impact screw. So let's just look at this. For the impact screw setting, you're going to see this line on the cam and a line right there on that side plate. And when you push the bar down, roll that over, they should line up. And if over time it doesn't line up, you know, because it's settled in, I'm going to just simulate this. I'm going to back off this impact screw a little. And now you can see it doesn't match up. And let's turn it on. Ooh, that sounds horrible. And so if your machine starts sounding like this, don't fear, you just need to reset your impact screw. So let's push the bar down, roll that cam over. You can see it's off. Let's see. You see they're not matched up. They're very obviously off. And I'm gonna just try, that was half turn. I'm gonna go a little bit more. Normally when it's out, you may only have to adjust this thing about a quarter of a turn to get it perfect. Okay, so now I am pretty dead on right there. And I'm gonna lock this side locking screw here. And it's, you know, I don't know if I just said this or not, but it's off of that angle. So that's securing this a little bit better because of what's going on in there with the stroke spring and everything. Now let's go over polarity. That's the one last thing we're going to talk about. Right now it's positive up. Positive up whips the bar down a little faster and harder. Positive down is a little easier on the machine. It's a little easier to, like, it consumes less power to cycle everything because the cam is coming counterclockwise. And as it comes counterclockwise, it's just, the bar isn't whipped down as fast. And then there's, from down here, there's just a little bit more give right there versus when you're up here, there's like no give. So, you know, and then once it gets to the breaking point, then there's the give there. But the attack of when it strikes the skin is coming down a little slower here versus the other way. And I like positive down if I'm running finer lines or softer shading or shading at all. I mean, because I don't really need it to just break the skin super fast. I want to kind of bog it down a little. So I prefer positive down for those things. And there you go. This is the Sidewinder 7.5. I'm really happy with this. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Thanks for watching.